because it has these vents right here. It's really gonna be nice in terms of not having to worry about your camera overheating while you're recording. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be giving you my first impressions of the Sony FX30. Now, this is by no means a new camera at all, as it was released in October of 2022. However, it is new to me in my studio setup. And so after, eye shopping or window shopping for this camera for the past year or so now, I'm just going to share my initial impressions as to what it looks and feels like to get my hands on this after utilizing a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K for the past 8-9 months. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the video. So when I purchased this, it did come in a box like this. Managed to get a good price on it for about $1,500, as it's retailing currently for about $17.99. So there's that. It also came with a battery that's currently inserted into it right here in this compartment. And then it came with the charger and a charging cable via USB. So it's USB to USB-C cable, decent size cable. So I'll go ahead and put that back in there and just lock that accordingly. So what are my first impressions? The first thing that I noticed about this camera is that when I saw the images of it online, I thought it was going to be around the same size as my previous M50 from Canon. But no, this thing actually is a good size larger than that. It feels really good to hold this grip. I feel like, coming from the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, it's nice to have that ability to grip the camera with that much room. So that's a really firm grip, I would say. But overall, it's just a lot thicker than what I thought it was going to look like. Like it's the size to where I would pretty much be comfortable flying with this camera without throwing a cage on it, because I don't feel like it really needs one with all of the I don't even know what the size of these holes, but for all of these mounting holes that come on the camera, along with the hot shoe mount that you could easily slide in an accessory like a shotgun microphone or a monitor, it's a really clean setup, especially if you want to go for a minimalist look. In terms of button placement, you do have a good deal of access to these settings that are listed, whether you want to change your iris, white balance, ISO, or whatnot. Those are all things that are just a click away. And so that's pretty convenient, although I likely wouldn't utilize each and one of those when I'm shooting video, at least in my studio environment. I'm pretty much going to set the settings and forget it. But one thing that I did know by watching some other videos on YouTube here is that you can remap these buttons to perform any sort of function. As they're identified by a number, it's going to make it pretty easy to utilize these buttons for whatever use case you want to do, because they're quickly identifiable. But yeah. All right, so over here on the side, you have a full-size HDMI port. And then if you look, it's really nice how they did that, because it blends in. At first, I wasn't sure how to open this part. But if you open up this black lid here, that opens up some more ports for you, which is your microphone jack and your headphone jack. So that's sweet there. And if you open the second one, you then have your USB-C port that you can utilize for storage as well as charging. So that's nice. And then you have a multi-function port that you can attach this camera to a gimbal, so that you can control some of the features of the camera from the gimbal itself or something like that. But that was pretty nice, sleek how they designed this portion to sort of tuck those ports away. And I really like that. One of the biggest things that I find attractive about this camera is, if I look on the back here with this flip out display, is it's a flip out display. You can rotate it, you can choose to view it head on, or you can take the screen out and rotate it in whatever direction that you want to get the best angle. Or if you're a solo creator like I am, you could turn that screen around and now you have at least a base level idea of what your camera is shooting. So I really find that really nice. And not only that, but because this is a touchscreen display, you can also adjust some of the settings of your camera on the fly, you know, without having to take the camera off of its position or you know, turn it around in order to access those settings. And so I find that really convenient and similar to my previous Canon M50. You do have two of these hooks, so where you could attach a lanyard or whatnot to wear this, holster this camera around your neck or so forth. And then down here, I actually found this battery compartment pretty nice. And the reason why is because in order to unlock it, you know, you just slide this little lever right here that's in the center. You slide it over to open, and then boom, it pops open. And then there's also another lock there, if you can see it, that blue portion that actually holds the battery in place. So even though the door is open, the battery's not gonna fall out, which is pretty nice. So if I wanted to remove the battery, I just slide that blue piece over, and then boom, I'll go ahead and pop that right back in. It clicks, you know, letting you know that it's in there securely, which is nice. And then when I close it, all I have to do is slide this back over. So it's really nice, pretty simple mechanism. But another thing that I noticed as to why this camera is as thick as it is because it has these vents right here, which is really gonna be nice in terms of not having to worry about your camera overheating while you're recording on a shoot or so forth. So I think that'll be nice and something that'll be fun to see how it holds up. Lastly, over here on the side here, if I slide down and push out towards the back, this side piece unlocks, which you have access to dual SD card slots. That's something that I didn't, you know, realize this camera came with. The function to have 2 SD card slots, which means you could set it up to a mode where you record to both SD cards for redundancy or whatnot, or you could have it automatically switch your recording to store the files on the second SD card slot if the first one becomes full, which is pretty nice. A monitor or external recorder that you can attach to your camera, so that's pretty interesting. In terms of like build and, you know, how this actually feels, is this silver part that you see here, it has like a somewhat of a metal feeling to it. So I think it might be metal or some type of metal material, whether that's aluminum or so forth, but it's cold to the touch. I can tell you that this bottom part is plastic, along with this back panel right here where the fans and the external display. And I believe this is also plastic as well, but I have to say this grip does feel really good and it gives you a firm hold of the camera while you have it in your hand. Lastly, you have the Sony E-mount that comes on this camera by default, so compatible with all Sony E-mount lenses. Or if you wanted to use Canon lenses or something like that, you could purchase a MC11 adapter. That would give you, from Sigma, that would give you the ability to use EF lenses on this camera. So pretty nice. Pretty nice, pretty cool placement for something that you can utilize to take pictures as well as capture cinematic video. I think it's pretty cool, but more videos to come in the future regarding my experience with this little camera right here. All right, folks, well, that wraps up this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel to stay tuned for more future videos. As always, thanks for viewing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.